I'm happy to be back. I'm fully inspired. Yeah, Jeremy and I prepared a bit of a session for today. We're gonna learn about what it means to be in the middle of collapse. We're gonna address the topic of collapsing society, especially what is happening in the Ukraine. But we're gonna use a liberating structures, of course, for that, which is called the future present, which is so we're gonna become pioneers today. And what does that look like? And then after that, we're gonna debrief on the content and debrief on the structure that we're gonna use and have a bit of a checkout. So that's for today.
We're gonna take the vibe of lean in this and slow down a little bit.
Yes.
Try not to do so much.
Yeah, I cannot take fast at the moment after my retreat. So, but I also prepared a little inclusive welcome because I love them so much. So, welcome in the fourth session already of the Graviton practice groups. Welcome to the regulars for coming back. Thanks for coming back. And welcome to the newcomers in the sessions or in the Graviton channel, but I think it's all regulars today. So I'm Lean and my co-space holder is Jeremy. We especially welcome everyone who identifies as a woman today on International Women's Day. Maybe you have gone to a protest, Mars.
Hi, Mom.
Maybe you had lunch with other amazing women out there, or maybe you tweeted something today about empowering women or whatever. With this, we want to express a very warm welcome to all gender aspects in every one of us, and every female touch that you have there. Today is a good day to look into it without putting it in binary boxes, without stereotyping it, but softly when possible and firmly when needed, embracing who you are and who you are becoming in this world. And that said, we especially do not welcome toxic masculinity today. So you can leave that behind today. A welcome also to who feels completely puzzled and sad to what is happening in the world. Welcome to who is directly or indirectly impacted by that, or what is happening in the Ukraine. Welcome to feelings of doubt about it, uncertainty, not really knowing, not understanding, all opinions on that. Welcome to what we cannot put into words and feeling lost in all of this chaos. Today we will work with what is happening, look into what we choose to be in this collapsing civilization. And I repeat it, but you already know because I think we're all regulars. So yeah, for these weeks we try to practice a bit with deep democracy and liberating structures to see what we can use in the TC community and to change our old school conversation patterns where we can. And today we will show you a tool, Future Present, which is very good for experimenting, for dreaming and imagining, and a lot for making space for time and reflection. So that's what we're going to do today for about 1 hour. Voila, so that was my inclusive welcome.
Welcome, Tam.
I'm going to change my screen a little bit. There you go, that's better. We have a woman. Great. I was feeling very much alone on International Women's Day, and I was doing a warm welcome. Another one.
I'm a woman.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, I just read the inclusive welcome. It's in the slides. Do I need to put the link again in the Gravity channel so that you can follow? Let me do that quickly.
I don't know if it's my Discord, but I tried to post the link and the message didn't send.
Yeah, something wrong with the Gravity.
Yes. Yeah,
X channel right now, I
yeah.
noticed.
Same. I just joined from my phone because my laptop won't load Discord anymore.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay, cool.
I think it's Discord.
It, it's good to
Yeah,
say, in case we get interrupted, Lean, maybe in the doc, we can put the link to your Zoom.
that's a cool idea. Yeah, I'll put it on the intro slides session 4. If we all fall out, you can find. We can move to zoom.all for climate.earth.
And maybe drop it in the Telegram because nothing's loading on my Discord.
Okay. And not in the Telegram, but
Or on the forum.
Someone will help us self-organize that.
right.
Would someone be open? This is Morgan. Would somebody be open to DM me the Zoom link in the slides? Or that's not working either.
Doesn't appear.
Okay. Because I don't know if I'm on the Telegram yet.
But we're not moving straight away, right? We're trying to stay here for a while. So Morgan,
Yeah.
write it
That's an
down.
in case.
It's quite easy. It's just zoom.allforclimate.earth.
Can you say that again, please? Zoom.
Zoom.allforclimate.earth.
Thank you.
Great.
And that's just in case we get bumped out of here, in case the spiral of confusion and miscoordination escalates. But for the time being, we're all here, and this seems to be the right people.
Cool. All right. I'm going to start with a mini introduction of a book that I've been reading lately. It's a book of Margaret Wheatley, a lady she's from Boston, but she lives in Utah, and she has a massive experience in communities. And she wrote a famous book, Leadership and a New Science. And her latest book, Who Do We Choose to Be? She describes how we can claim back leadership and create islands of sanity in this chaotic world. It's a brilliant work. And for today, with what is happening in Ukraine, it's one of those things and one of those signals that the system is collapsing. And she's done a little bit of research on the breakdown of civilizations. And I thought it would be a good entry point for the liberating structures that we're going to try out today, the future present, and that it might set us in like the right environment or the right context and set of mind to do that exercise. So just a couple of minutes. So what she does is she draws the arrow of time. It's quite a well-known concept amongst historians that have studied civilizations, right? And apparently humans do not learn at all. So what happens is that every time a new civilization starts, they think they have and we're going to do it better, and we're not going to make the same mistakes, and it happens again all the time. We never learn. It's like in our DNA. And those historians, they have created stages of how that happens, how a civilization is falling down. And then, of course, the characteristics and the happenings, the events that are happening in these stages are an indication of where the civilization is on that time. And all the signals are there. We are ending, it's a bit early to name it, but is it the fossil fuel era? Is it the industrial era that is ending? We will see, like in 20 years or so, we will find out what exactly is ending, because then we will figure out what has stopped, right? The funny thing is that every civilization takes about 10 generations only, so about 250 years. So you go to the Mayas or to the Byzantine era, like all of them, all those big civilizations that we know of, They all last 250 years and they all go through the exact same stages. It's very, very interesting to look at it like that.
We'll
So,
ask the historians for an exemption for for Egypt, but let's just take Rome for example.
okay. Cool. Cool. So the 6 stages are, and I've made a very, very tiny summary there. So it always starts with an age of very brave, courageous, fearless pioneers. They feel what is wrong in the previous civilizations and they are like, we are going to do it better. They're full of idealism, great values, they have strict moral codes, and a shared purpose. We're going to bring back communities. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it in the right way. Then, of course, they need to start defending those communities, defending those values, and the age of conquest starts. They take a bit control, they start organizing a military. There's also a quite religious way of thinking that starts entering the societies or whatever is emerging. Then it's an age of commerce, where creation of wealth suddenly becomes important, because when a system collapses, you see that a lot of people are ending up in being poor and the resources are down. So in the age of commerce, like that starts to pick up again, and people want that financial security again. So they go to creation of wealth. They start building infrastructure because, of course, if you start commerce, you need roads, you need, so you need the infrastructure that is needed to move the stuff. New enterprises starts, and then it starts slowly, like the values that the pioneers put into place, they start giving way to profit for the first time, right? The age of affluence, there's abundance of money suddenly, selfishness. And important there, and I see in society as well, is that suddenly education moves from learning a skill, right? If you see in the Middle Ages, for example, you had these guilds of people that had skills. So the learning moves to institutions, schools, and suddenly people want to have a qualification to get a high paid job. And you get these middle positions, the managers, right? Or the policy advisors. That's when they start to show up, climbing on the hierarchy. And then the age of intellect is really where arts and knowledge flourish, but you also get a lot of fighting politicians, the beliefs that problems can be solved with being clever. So you get those political and intellectual debates. They're all over the place now, where nothing is really done. It's just a power fight between has the best strategy and who is the smartest in the game, and you get civil wars. Government turning towards citizens, internal wars, very strong polarity politics, like the one against the others, nationalists versus more socialists, liberalists that are played out against each other. And then, of course, the age of decadence, where consumerism takes over. Huge sports events for entertaining the masses. You see that as well in the age of decadence. A lot of money going to entertainment. The medals and the artists, athletes, that sort of people are the most popular, the richest, and they are the examples of being free and having a status in their society. So a sportsman is not, it just gets this higher status in society. And then at the end, institutions run out of. One example: support for young and poor people starts picking up. So people or governments are most of the time doing a policy where they feel like, we're leaving the poor out. We need to start giving them money so that they can still cooperate or collaborate in the consumerist system, in the wealth system, right? We have to give them money so that they can take part in the wealth-driven society. And institutions run out of money and close. We are not there yet, but during the pandemic, we got a glimpse of what that looks like when when schools close, and when the whole system comes under pressure, and where money is running out because it's there's a lot of costs to take care of people, because the social system and the communities have they're out. Everything has been replaced by institutions in the government, and local communities have been destroyed. Another, I haven't written it there, but it's quite important because the pioneers are already a bit here, and the pioneers are usually found in activists and terrorists that are at the edge of society and sort of calling the governments like, hey, what are you doing? Like, we had these brilliant values completely at the beginning. Why are you not living the values that we started this society with? Equality, social rights, communities, taking care of each other, right? Why are we not doing that anymore? They are already present. They are suppressed or arrested in many cases in our society. And the majority of the people are actually looking at them like, hey, you're the ones that need to save, and they put all the responsibility on them, right? Or they turn against the activist, or they say, yeah, you go do it. So it's a little bit of dynamic going on. So yeah, I think it's quite clear what is going on with the signals in the age of decadence are quite clear out there. So we are really at the verge of collapse. The war is now one of the examples. National identity politics and nation-state politics is playing out very strongly. So Margaret Wheatley also made some kind of a checklist. Where is your organization at this moment? On the arrow of time. And it's a nice way of looking like, hey, where are we on this arrow? Like, and she says, like, look at the quality of your relationships. Are they more trust, or is there more competition that is empowered, or a strong hierarchy, or performance-driven organization? Or is it actually nurturing people and helping people to go that extra mile, to be there for each other, like in Graviton conflict management circle, for example? What is going on? Another one is fear versus love. Where is the behavior of your organization on this spectrum? Like, are the decisions made out of fear, like, we cannot do this, or are they made out of love, of care of people? The quality of thinking. There's a crisis in your organizations, in your organization. What do you do? Are the values used, or is there some kind of a panic? Lots of people that have to go and have to leave. There are lots of burnouts in the organization. Lots of people leaving. Lots of sabotage, etc. Or is there time to think together? Is there space for together to reflect? Like, hey, can we slow down? What is going on here? Right? What were the core values? How can we solve this together? Let's take some time for this. Willingness to contribute. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm talking too long. Willingness to contribute. The role of money. I should have put it more on top, but what is the role of money? Is it to create wealth? Is it optimized for being successful, earning money? Or is it more a reward system, a driver, a need, a tool? And the learning dynamics. How do you learn and adapt, and how do you reflect? How open are you to the reality, and how much do you take the time to learn and adapt and be dynamic more as an organism instead of a fixed identity mindset? Right, that's enough. Are there any questions before we go into an exercise on this?
All those examples seem to be of colonized cultures. Are there other examples? Also, I'm thinking to some degree about the abysmal leadership theory thing that had a profound effect on me. I don't know if you guys have read about that, but there's a PDF on it that I could share with you if you'd like. That basically talks about leadership literally at the end of an the destruction of entire culture by colonization and what the leaders had to do in the context of those people effectively ceased to be according to their entire culture. And it's a very interesting viewpoint on what those people did to, sort of lead when, and it also is very similar to if you've seen Kundun at the, the story of the Dalai Lama at the end of their reign in Tibet. So anyway, all of that connect with a lot with what you guys were talking about here, and I just didn't know if you'd heard of those things.
No, but please share. Super interested. Yeah.
Thanks for salience tagging.
Yeah, maybe when the chat reloads again, try to send them.
So to just maybe punctuate on what we hope to take away from that presentation from Lean, we find ourselves in this great transition where we are both in the end of an era and we can see the emergence of this spirit of pioneers in the current moment in time. And so what we're going to do is jump into an exercise called future present. This is what we consider a liberating structure in development. So there are 33 sort of official liberating structures, and this one is still sort of in the oven. So we're actually going to engage in a bit of research by engaging with it, and see what we can learn about how this structure works and where we might be able to find opportunities to make use of it. So what we're trying to do is sort of notice this space in between and get ourselves into a frame where we can explore it through the use of this structure, future present. So we're going to set a bit of a scene, and actually, hold on. In order to get the vibe right, this is very important. If you have the ability, if it's evening where you're at, hold on. There we go. Now, imagine that you are in a group of 5 or 6 people. We're all in one group gathered around a campfire. We're 40 years into the future of the brightest future you can possibly imagine, where the TEC delivered on its mission and was a critical shelling point for the transition to a new way of being, and that the Gravity DAO were stewards of this social layer that came to move the entire world back from the brink towards this wholeness, abundance, prosperity, and regeneration. 2 people in our group are going to take on the role of the pioneers. They were here from way back in the day, this present moment, all the way up to this moment that we find ourselves in front of this campfire 40 years in the future. The rest of the group is going to take on the role of younglings. Very curious to hear the stories of these pioneers about a time that they have heard of. But they can't possibly imagine. The future is so bright and green, they can't imagine pandemics and world wars and continuous crises, because that's not no longer a part of their reality. So they're going to be curious and wide-eyed. How do these pioneers look back from this bright future of the present moment that is today? Take inspiration from the questions that you'll see on the slides ahead, and just lean into the vibe, and just be wide-eyed and full of wonder as we look for the pioneers to tell us the story one more time before we go to sleep. So what we're going to do, I think, given that we are a sufficiently small group, we'll stay in one section, and 2 of us will take on the role of pioneers, and the rest of us will take on the role of younglings. And we'll work through this list of about 4 questions, about 4 minutes, 3 minutes per question, more or less, as in our inspiration. And then we'll do a bit of a debrief on what stood out to us, and then we'll debrief the structure in its entirety. So Does anybody have questions about the steps and the roles? Then who wants? Hmm? Yep, exactly like that. So the next question is, who wants to take on the role of the pioneer? Awesome. Who wants to join Zepti and play the role of a pioneer?
Yeah, I can give it a shot.
Awesome. Thanks, Benz. So Zepti and Benz, they are our pioneers. They have taken the world back from the brink to the brightest future that you can imagine possible over the span of this 40 years. So these are our sort of laundry list of questions for the pioneers. And we are all the younglings. So we'll just give them a second to drop into their role. And I'm going to fade into the background, I think, with Lean. And it's up to you guys to ask the pioneers to tell the story.
I can start. um, oh, old pioneers. I have heard about the old days when times were hard. There seemed to be no way out. Is it true? What problems existed? Tell me.
Yeah, I'd add to that yeah, times were hard, and we had crazy things like pandemics and wars with nuclear powers that no one really knew what to make of, and it was really hard to make sense of world events because um, our whole information ecosystem was driven by profit as well. So, pretty much everything was funneled through this need for a profit. And yeah, well, I guess that's kind of the problems that existed. It was an interesting time.
Pioneer, what gave you hope?
Yeah, what gave me hope was like what Zepti was saying, that people uh aren't so bad personally, like in small groups where we tend to do a little bit better at um relating and loving each other, and um that showed that a different culture and way of being was possible. And then at a certain point, there were, even before the pioneers, builders who created things that helped to uh, enable those interactions between people that were more wholesome and trustful, and not quite as uh, motivated by capturing resources or profits, and more holistic in that um, they what was being built um, tried to integrate more with like how the natural world works, and counteract the bad aspects of human nature.
And pioneers. There are many stories about you and other fellow pioneers. What first small steps did you take? How did you turn up the heat? How did you build and maintain momentum? Tell me.
Yeah, I think the first steps I took was recognizing um, that there was a problem, and like characterizing that for myself, and then finding other people who agreed or shared a vision of that problem, and then also the solution, and just engaging and contributing in whatever way, um, and then we gathered in a video chat and did liberating structures. Yeah.
And after those first initial steps, like what did you do that really cranked it up a notch and took it to a level beyond those first early steps?
Yes, building that system that out cooperates the old, and is has this uh gravity, I guess, pun intended, to pull the culture in and kind of like that flywheel. Yeah.
I have a question, pioneers. How did the I don't like to use the word power. The structure, the internal the framework that you built help in the transition when the rest of the world fell apart? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, yeah, by building systems that were resilient, and the not only the systems and the technology, but building the cultures and communities that um, were better, were kinder, and better places to come. So building those refuges for people during before the collapse and during, I guess.
How did you build resiliency?
I think, yeah, definitely second the cultural aspects too, and that trust, I think, is was also enabled by the infrastructure, the technology, the decentralized nature of it. Um, Without that infrastructure without being able to capture and harness those structures for someone's one single person's or one single group's purposes helps and enables that trust too. So there's this culture and technology kind of feedback that was really helping to kind of create this um, draw. And yeah, I think that's it.
And pioneers, what was the hardest part?
I think the hardest part was kind of straddling that that gap between, um, you know, in in one place there, in one realm we're incredibly optimistic and um, believing in what we were trying to accomplish, but then we also can step outside and see the beauty, but also um, just how the world is currently functioning and just dealing with that juxtaposition and knowing that there's probably going to be worse things that happen too before it gets better. That was difficult, I think.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, welcome.
Good to see you.
Any more questions for the pioneers?
I have one. After you guys got started, and you found this community and strength to go on, what was the place that you never expected would show up and you discovered was an ally? What unexpected allies rallied to your cause to help and collaborate? Who surprised you that turned out to be a partner in building the future, the building?
Yeah, I think the even in the early days, the group working in this area was had a wide variety of um, had come from different political backgrounds, but and just settled on some similar base values that they thought would make the world a better place. And um, it's surprising the broad spectrum of political backgrounds and cultural backgrounds that people came from. It was really kind of a sampling from all over.
Thank you. And what when was the moment that you realized that you it it was more than possible, but that you were doing this, and that it it felt like you were winning?
Yeah, I think seeing this space increasingly spill over into the other world and into kind of mainstream, and like be able to make that make those inroads and allow for pulling more people in. um yeah.
Awesome. So Dan, Zefti, thank you so much. My wizened elders, I appreciate your telling me the story of this beautiful, beautiful future that we have in front of us. So to switch modes into our debrief, the question that looms large, awesome. Thank you, anonymous hamster, is what significance did you as an individual, did everyone attach to what you heard or experienced? What meaning did you attach to what you heard from Benz and Zefti? Or that you generated, Benz, Zefti?
Yeah, for me it was as I was kind of talking about like the optimism here, and in like then juxtaposed to just like this is the pessimism about everything else. It was like I could really feel that in like both um things at the same time. That was interesting.
Yeah, for me the same. Like sometimes we think that problems will not have an end or a solution, and we only like focus in the present, but looking in a to in a distance, you know, or you can hear that the sun kept rising every day.
It's been only, I could say, like after joining maybe Twitter, for me a lot of things changed and discovered that such people exist out there. I knew, but I didn't know that that way it was gonna be connected. Even even if I would knew that before, I think that would be totally different for me. But I'm discovering how to make connections more lasting. Otherwise, it's like really short term, and the way we live also, like not for everybody, but really mobilized in the city, and places we rent are, if we are lucky, we can find some place to live for years. And yeah, like all that circulation. But I think culture just exists, and you bring to other places, and yeah, meet people like that. I mean, I just remember that question first was if you met some people really got your point, or yeah, it wasn't easy to find those people. Now it's easier, but now it's maybe recurring to sustain those what started. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What I noticed that really jumped out to me is um, how much how much if I think about the space that we're sort of in, right? This hyper digitalized Web3 technology driven space, like the vast majority of the stories that they told were around trust and community and culture. It was a very human and people driven story that I heard from both of these guys that it was the actual generator function of this new hardly dreamable. I dare to dream future, and I loved this sense that Zefti brought in as well that really resonated, which was you just had to find something that gave you the hope to believe and to just like work relentlessly towards that belief in a horizon that may be actually over the horizon of what you can actually see right now. Is there anybody else that um,
I also want to say something. And today, Jeremy invited me to another liberating structures meeting, and I really liked it. It was a story also um, related to change, and I aspire that sometime we can do that here in this practice group. But I was also thinking on it's not only having the tools, because we can have like the tools but have them stacked up and not use them, or having the tools but having a few people knowing how to use them. But it's also like having the tools and using them and teaching the people how to use them, and to be aware um, of the things that we have, because sometimes we don't make that inventory of the things um, that we have, and we only see the things that are, but we also see what we should also take into consideration what are the tools that we to defend ourselves.
thank you, Juan. Lean, what was the significance that you took out of that conversation? Curious.
Everything you said previously, and then maybe one thing that I can add to what I listened or what I heard is the importance of growing the movement, of adding more people and becoming large numbers, connecting globally, I heard, or bringing more people in and growing, and the importance of that, which I think is already like leaning a bit, if we put go back to the arrow of time, leaning a tiny bit to the second stage of conquest. We're gonna win or take over and leave the old system behind. Uh, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I'm curious about the thoughts about the structure. So what did you notice that this pattern, again, this is the structure future present, this liberating structure in development. What did you notice that this pattern made possible?
Um, I think it's zooming out on the chronological like scale, like we're very caught up in, at least I am, like what am I doing today? What do I need to get done? And kind of taking a step back and looking at that longer time horizon like helps put things in perspective, I think, a little bit.